This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B, Around the Indoor Football World, Shield TV, and The Big Football Show. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla Hour, Brosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, Bodkin Show, and Spirit of Detroit Podcast. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Wrestling Roundup, Skull Gang 365, First and 10 with Foz, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballin' Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, 313 Den Podcast, Puckett, The Guys Huddle, Main Event Football Show, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, and Off the Rails. Hope you enjoy all the shows and feel free to comment, like, share, and subscribe. This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Valhalla Hour. I am your fill-in host, Sir SoCal. With me is Matthew Lusa. Terry, how are we doing?
Doing good.
So before we get into the show today, we want to give a big shout out to a longtime guest of the show, friend of the show, Sam McClay, Sir Nature Boy. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Sam.
Happy birthday.
So let's kick off. We do have some updates about the late Kyrie Jackson. We here at the network and the podcast, we have seen pictures of the crash. We will not be showing it, but it was very graphic, to say the least. People actually have been stopping at the scene of the crash to leave tributes to all three of those who have passed away. And there was actually, the first one I saw was a Minnesota Vikings hat on the stump. And we have some updates, and the Prince George's County State Attorney's Office, they are working expeditiously and diligently on the investigation. They have identified the driver. We here will not release the name of driver, but you can, look it up for yourself. There was an evidentiary review this week. We don't know what happened there, but they're just waiting on the talk screens from the driver of the car that hit the Charger that Kyrie Jackson was riding in, and on the driver of the Charger as well. So that's what we know as of right now, but we're hoping to hear more soon. The speculation is that the person will be charged with 3 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter with a DUI, some weird charge. And having lived in Maryland myself, one of the things they teach us at the driver's training there, that's a 5-year, $5,000 penalty. So times that by 3, and you're looking at 15. I won't comment on this, but honestly, because of the nature, I think there's going to be more than just that minor charge. What do you think, Matthew?
If she only gets 15 years for taking out 3 people for drunk driving, that's a pretty light sentence. I'm not going to speak to the laws there. I'll let it play out for itself, but it's just tragic, and hopefully there is some type of justice served because there is no need for that.
And last night at a vigil for all three, there was a shooting. I mean,
Yeah,
it's breaks my heart. Paying tribute to a great player, a young player, um, and this just happens. That just I feel bad, and that's the
yeah,
last thing the family needs is chaos at a vigil to honor the three. But
yeah. There's already so much heartbreak and tension, and then obviously it just boiled over. It's creating a even more tragic situation. It's just
Diggs, my friend, it's good to see you. Always good to see you and hear from you. All right, let's move into something that was released last week, and that is the NFLPA grades for each team. Let's highlight the Minnesota Vikings.
something I never got. Good grades.
And as you can see here, we are top 10 across the board. And you can see some, one area that we really lack in is our training staff. But as you can see, we're solid A's in 7 of 9 categories. One area I'm going to show, it's okay. We'll break this down. The treatment of families, we're first place. Okay. I mean, that's great. Daycare at a stadium? Cool. Food, really nothing to comment about. Our nutritionist,
What was it?
96, huh?
Was it Arizona that charged their players to eat at the cafeteria?
Yes. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask all of our viewers this. Would you rather be charged to eat at the cafeteria or do it old school way? And I'm talking old school, back when you're in school, like in elementary school, when you have to bring your own lunch and store it somewhere. What would you
Right.
rather have?
Bring my own.
The Bengals are 32nd because they have to bring their own food from home.
At least you get to pick what you eat.
I mean, but you're talking about a team that has Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and yet you're having your star players bring their own food from home.
Well, there's always that meme of Dirk Nowitzki with the paper plate covered in tinfoil that he went to a game with because his wife prepared his dinner for the pregame.
Our locker room. Okay, this one I actually really like. All of our players feel the locker room is big enough. Now,
It's
does that
beautiful.
mean? Yeah, oh yeah. Does that mean at the stadium or does that mean at the regular team facilities?
It might be both because I've been to TCO for training camp a few times, and that's a massive facility. It's a mini stadium.
Yes. Our training room. Here we go. We have at least 90% of players feel like they're getting enough from the trainers, which is a good thing because we've got a good partnership with TCO.
Mhm.
For those of you who don't know, that's Twin City Orthopedics. They're very good in their field.
Yeah.
Training staff, 88% of players feel like they're having enough time with one-on-one. I think we could definitely bump that up.
Yeah, especially with the injury history that we have. I'd like to see that grade a little higher, have the training staff a little more hands-on.
Absolutely. We got some comments coming in. Luca is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Enjoy that, Luca. It's a great place up there. Not the international digs. Our weight room, we're ranked 8th. Definitely room for some improvement. The quality and the space in the weight room can be worked on. This stood out to me. 100% of our players, all of them, feel like they're getting an individualized plan. I really like that. This next category will literally blow your mind. The team travel. Before games, we don't make anybody have a roommate.
That's crazy.
That's insane. But it just
Uh,
shows how much the ownership really wants us to thrive and be successful on the field.
my
Second,
apologies if I
yeah,
sorry if I'm going to step on a touchdown call here, but I remember in the show Quarterbacks on Netflix last year, Kirk had talked about the team had a mental health professional as well that helped him go over losses and just kind of like a team psychiatrist. And I think, I don't know how many teams do that, but that's to be a super underrated aspect of a team culture, just like not letting players mentally manage or like negatively impact themselves. There's someone they can talk to kind of move on and process for the next week. And I think that's super cool.
and especially in nowadays in society when mental health is being um, more publicized, having a team psychologist, that's a great benefit to have, because if somebody, let's say Justin Jefferson unfortunately had a loss, and he was having a hard time getting out of the funk, boom, built in.
Right.
And it's something I would like to see all the teams have, because you have these high caliber athletes, high paid athletes, and the last thing you want that any one of them to do is go off the rails, a la Everson
Right.
Griffin.
Or Antonio Brown.
Oh God.
So yeah, I
Uh,
mean, they can't say they can't afford it.
yeah. The head coach,
A plus.
98% feel KOC is efficient.
Take that, haters.
And they believe KOC is listening to the locker room.
Yeah. Well, not just
Yeah.
KOC, but Flores as well. Like when we hired
Hmm.
Flores, I remember Daniil Hunter coming out and saying, well, he comes up to me and goes, hey, what do you feel like your strengths are? Because I want to play to those. Whereas Zimmer, it's doesn't matter what your strengths are. Like here's your assigned position, here's your assigned task. You have to complete that task. So it's nice to have a coach go, hey, tell me what you're good at and let's make
Hmm.
that work. And then look at
Yes.
that. Hunter had 16 and a half sacks. Shocking.
Yeah. Diggs, he asks if we watched Receivers. I just started it about an hour ago. It's a very good show, and we're actually going to be talking about that shortly.
I have not seen it yet.
It's going to be it. I'm excited to see the entire series. Um, with just the opener itself with Randy Moss trying to step all over Peyton Manning. I like that. A typical Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Ownership 9.7 out of 10 from the players.
Yeah, the
That's a
Wills. The Wills are great owners.
They're investing heavily into the facilities. They're investing in our players. They're investing in our coaching staff. We are being set up for success, and that's
Yeah.
going to be very soon. So, as of you can see, we've got a lot of room. We've made up tons of area from last year, but overall, we are definitely on the right track. There are some room for improvement, definitely in our training staff. Um, I remember, who was it? It was a Los Angeles team. People, the players were calling on the training staff to be fired because of so many injuries off the field. And ownership, I forget who it was, they decided to fire the head coach rather than the training staff.
So the Chargers, Staley.
It was. No, it was, I forget who it was who was coach, but it it was just so controversial. And Jason from Florida, Skull. All right. So, compared to some of our counterparts, we rank pretty good. We're up there. Um, Next topic. Well, of course, you can see it. Cam Akers is going to be re-signing if he passes the physical. Cam Akers had an abbreviated season. Now the issue is we're having a tight and crowded running back room. So, Matthew, I'm going to ask you, who is going to be our running back one?
So I think that's obviously Aaron Jones. I mean,
Yes.
yeah. Now with obviously with his injury history as of late, how much of that is going to be him being the RB1?
Mhm.
Um, but when healthy, he's clearly the best running back we have on the team.
Who do you think is going to be our RB2?
I think it's going to be Ty Chandler. I think he did well enough at the end of the season last year. He was used really well. I think our O line's going to be improved this year. I did have a couple of interesting discussions over the last week with the Cam Akers news of who people think is going to be RB2 and RB3. A surprising amount of people think it's going to be Cam Akers. I feel like I'm kind of on an island with my Ty Chandler. Um,
Mhm.
Cam Akers had a good season 3 years ago. He's also got two Achilles injuries, so I'm not sure how big of a factor he's going to be.
Mhm.
Um, but so I would say, yeah, Jones 1, Chandler 2, Akers 3.
I have a feeling it's going to be Jones, Akers, Chandler. McBride's going to be practice squad.
Yeah,
Gaskin's cut, and Wong Wu is going to be special teams.
yeah. Although I could see Gaskins taking over for McBride and McBride getting cut.
Yeah, we've got one, two, six. Who does that?
Yeah,
Well, especially since the running back position is now getting to be very undervalued.
yeah. Well, and Nwangwu is just running back by name only. He is just a return specialist.
Yes, and this was July 2nd. We are 11 days from that. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm sure we will hear that shortly. Um, Getting into our next topic, which is we just talked about, Netflix receivers has debuted. Justin Jefferson is one of the 5 receivers, and people are saying that it has way good. It's way better than quarterback. I've started getting into it. I've only touched on the George Kittle portion. Um, it's really a unique show. It's a unique look into the lives of the receivers as well. Um, they were talking about Kittle, and they were asking him, "Is this the most writing you do this all year?" And he was like, "Pretty much." Um, I can't wait to dive deeper into the show. Um, One of our friends, good friend of the show, Diggs Garza, he actually says another friend of ours, his name is Luca. He's been on the show a few times. He was actually in it with JJ.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
for those of you who do not know, Luca and I and Diggs are part of a bigger group called the Viking World Order. And boy, Luca has this, I'll say, very unique game day outfit. I don't know if it was a tux. I think it's a tux. I'll just say it's a tux. A pink tux. And and when he shows up, you know it's him. You can't even miss him. It's that bright of a pink. Um but yeah, so we it's going to be interesting. I wish we could show a few clips, but
Right.
copyright purposes
Yeah.
we can't. So before we move on to our next topic, what do you think is going to be one of our biggest stories leading into training camp?
Um, I mean, it's obviously probably going to be quarterback just because of the nature of the position. I think everybody kind of knows that Darnold is the guy. I don't think there's really anything McCarthy can do shy of just being absolutely lights out through the preseason because I don't think Darnold's going to play a lick of football during the preseason.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I guess just because that's going to be a topic, that's probably going to be the main topic. Also, Van Ginkel, we brought him in. He's a little banged up. So, Dallas Turner, people were wondering if he was going to get kind of slowly ushered in or if he was going to be starting right away. If Van Ginkel can't start the season, Dallas Turner is going to be getting the starting position. So, that's kind of a minor storyline. And wide receiver three, um, not really much of a story there. A lot of unknowns, but those are about the three most intriguing position battles, I would say.
Hmm. All right. So
Maybe interior O line.
yeah, I'm very excited to see what Dallas Turner can do in uh, in training camp.
Yeah,
I was not expecting him to be available to us at all later in the rounds.
yeah.
For us to pick him up, that I think is going to be huge to our defense.
I
Uh,
am so excited that we got him.
yeah, Kevin O'Connell shit bricks when he saw that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You giving me a new toy to play with?
Well, and Flores, he's pumped.
Yeah.
I do you mind if I go on a little bit of a Homer vent session?
Absolutely.
So I keep seeing people outside the Vikings fan base in the division say like, "Oh, the Vikings defense had such a major downgrade by losing to Daniel Hunter. You're losing a high production 16 and a half sack edge rusher, and I just think the defense is overall downgraded." Meanwhile, we drafted Dallas Turner, we got Jonathan Grenard, we got Andrew Van Ginkel, we got Blake Cashman, we got Shaq Griffin. I don't understand this concept of like you losing that one player, but getting those other five is a downgrade. Plus, it's Flores' second year. The people that have been here are going to be already well adjusted to the defense. I think people are massively sleeping on the quality. We were 13th in the NFL in points per game allowed last year, and that was with an offense that coughed it up over 30 times throughout the season, which is obviously a hindrance to the defense because you're getting short field position, you're getting gassed. I think this is going to be a top 10 defense this year. You can't convince me otherwise.
Exactly. So I'm going to pull up some more of the report cards that we had just talked about. First, we're going to start off with our arch rival, the Green Bay Packers.
Boo.
As you can see, some, a few A's, mostly B's, one C.
Yeah.
Ownership is a 9.5 out of 10, according to the players.
But they don't have owners. It's the fans.
To the CEO. So the players are calling the CEO the ownership.
Gotcha.
They don't have daycare for the children on game day.
That's not surprising.
As you can see, it's just 76% of the players get a diet plan. Oof.
Beer brats.
Beer brats and lineys.
Yeah.
Just the general stuff. Detroit Lions. Ownership ranks 21st.
Oof.
This is the defending NFC North champions, and you're getting a 21st ranked ownership.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess the Bears isn't very high up there either. Neither one of those fan bases particularly love their ownership.
Let's see what they say about.
Come on, see on food.
Yeah, for the nutritionist, yeah. Oh. Locker room feels good. Oh, cold tops. Yeah. Huh?
How are you gonna not feed your players? Give them good food. Come on.
Exactly.
They're professional athletes. I used to work at Whole Foods, and we did catering for a little bit for the Timberwolves, the Wild,
Yeah,
once or twice for the Vikings. I get very jealous of their meal plans very quickly.
yeah. Dan Campbell ranks third.
Not surprising. Fantastic
He-
head coach.
yeah, here we go. This is what really is destroying him. The Ford family pretty much still gets an 8.1.
Yeah.
Oof. I
Yeah, like I
mean,
said, they don't love their ownership. The fan base is aware.
who do we do next? Do we do Chicago, Cincinnati, or Washington?
Gotta go Chicago. Gotta round up the North.
Here we go. Oh, at least the ownership is better than Detroit.
Really?
Yes, the B plus for the ownership,
What do they have for coaching? They can't like lose.
25th. Jeez. Treatment of families, okay, that's been improved. Oh,
Again, feed your players good food.
feed your players good food and it'll fuel performance on the field.
Your team is worth billions.
And well, I think the reason why is because they have gourmet restaurants all around and stuff
That's
like that.
fair. Yeah, I'd be getting deep dish pizza on the daily.
For me, it would be the Italian beef.
There you go.
69% of players get an individualized nutrition plan. Ugh. Uh, Locker rooms big enough.
Okay.
Training. Ugh. The strength coaches. Oof. Bear fans, literally, I think you guys need to invest more in your team.
Yeah, but
Not you,
these
but
are, I mean, I don't want to be super pessimistic about Chicago. I think they have a bright future, but over the last, I mean, handful of years, obviously, these grades are decent considering the product they've been putting out.
mhm. Sixth in team travel. Looks like a lot. All the North doesn't ask for you to have a teammate or a roommate before the game.
That's cool.
That's a good thing. Oh, here we go.
Well, if you listen to local sports radio, they talk about flying on the charter planes for the Vikings and how they just are just offered buckets of snacks and food. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool,
I would love to do that
right?
personally. 81% of players like Matt Eberflus. Uh, yeah, this is his make or break year, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Well, God, it should be. It should be. But then he gets well, it's my first year with the new quarterback. So I think that just kind of guarantees you a get out of jail free season. Unless they win like 3 or 4 games, and then I think he's gone. But if they stay even remotely 500, I think he gets another shot at it.
Well, there have been times where a first year head coach has been fired.
Yeah, that's true.
The Hallis family gets an 8.9.
Not too shabby. A
Um,
little higher than I thought.
we'll see how that ranking improves when or if they get the new stadium.
That's true. Which is going to be enclosed. So much for all the crap talking about Minnesota being soft.
Yeah. And well, I'm going to say this. The league is more trending towards the indoor because the teams are realizing, hey, this will be a moneymaker for us out of the season. Concerts,
Right.
wrestling events, Final Fours.
Super Bowls.
Yes. I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah. If you're going to tell the city that, hey, or the state, you're going to have to cough up 45% of the cost of the stadium, you got to give them a reason to use it more than 9 times a year.
exactly. Los Angeles, they did it smart, and I forget his name. He did it smart. He funded it privately. He did it all himself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wasn't the rumor that the Wilfs wanted to fund the stadium if they got to choose the location, but the state said they wanted to keep it in downtown? I thought I remember hearing something about that.
I think so. We are going to take a quick ad break. We have the bills to pay. We'll be right back.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B, Around the Indoor Football World, Shield TV, and The Big Football Show. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla Hour, Brosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, Bodkin Show, and Spirit of Detroit Podcast. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Wrestling Roundup, Skull Gang 365, First and 10 with Foz, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballin' Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, 313 Den Podcast, Puckett, The Guys Huddle, Main Event Football Show, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, and Off the Rails. Hope you enjoy all the shows and feel free to comment, like, share, and subscribe.
All right, we are back. Time to get into some other divisions. Here is Cincinnati, what we were talking about. Where do I begin? This is atrocious.
Is that an F?
3 Fs in a row.
Oof. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because they have success, but that's not how you keep players. Is that why Higgins wants out?
Oh.
F minus. They had to give him a minus.
Just to add insult to injury.
Just not even an F. You're getting a minus.
The families are on their own pretty much.
Oof. Do they actually ask for the soul of the firstborn?
Don't know.
How do you 2 F minuses? They take your lunch money.
So they only offer dinner to players once a week.
Okay.
Near.
And it's an uncrustable.
Oh. The players want what most other teams have. 3 meals a day, the cafeteria to be open and operating on the player's off day. Damning evidence there.
Well, so I could kind of see not having the cafeteria fully functioning on an off day, because what if no one shows up? Then you just have a bunch of food waste and employees getting paid to do nothing.
Oh.
Yikes.
What the? Exactly, Robert. This is just a lot of Fs.
And again, they're not even Fs, they're F minuses. You can't get lower.
Exactly.
Oh.
Players
you got Joe Burrow. You got to do better.
Half of the showers don't function properly. Persistent plumbing issues. 5 functioning toilets for a team of 53. Must be all the chili.
Well, all the skyline chili, yeah. And there we go. Now we're getting there.
We're starting to get somewhere. All right. Finally, a little improvement.
So, okay, team travel. They go by Greyhound.
Zach Taylor gets an A. Okay.
That's where the success comes in. Their coaching and their training staffs are good, but they just happen to play at a Motel 6.
Zach Taylor is a good coach. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they were playing well
Oh.
without Burrow last year.
Oy.
C
What do you,
plus. I have no idea who their owners are, so I can't speak. Ooh, I wonder what ATL has for their ownership. I wonder what they think of Arthur Blank.
let's take a look. We will save the worst team for last.
Oh, do you already know who it is?
I do.
I'm curious.
1, 2, 3 Fs for Atlanta.
They have an A for ownership?
Yes.
That blows my mind.
Players want to have field passes for the families. Ooh, interesting.
So how do you not let the is that during games or during practice?
Before the game.
Okay, yeah, they should be able to go on the field and say hi to their. Come on.
Oh. Exactly, Robert. Atlanta too. Okay. At least Atlanta is not is better than Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is worse than purgatory.
Well, Atlanta's not Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and the Coke factory.
That's fair.
Oh,
Locker room F. Oof. Is it a brand new stadium?
yes.
How do you have an F?
Kirk Cousins, way to downgrade yourself.
Well, he just did that by going to a poorer offense in general.
B
Don't at
minus
me.
and ugh. Chick-fil-A saves the day. Okay, I'm gonna give that comment of the day. That is funny.
I'm not even seeing this. Oh, there we go. Chick-fil-A saves the
Oh man. A minus, good training staff. Okay. Oh,
Again, brand new stadium. You gotta do better.
no better than off-site locations.
Well, I mean, TCO is pretty far offside. It's about a 20, 30-minute drive from US Bank, but they just kind of bought up a chunk of land and turned it into a mini village. There's hotels, there's restaurants.
Oh. Players
Ooh.
describe it as a toxic environment.
Oh, we all know Kirk thrives under those.
So the issues are directly related to the head strength coach, who has been terminated.
Oh, well, should expect a
Apparently,
better grade next year then.
I'm seeing this trend now where roommates aren't required anymore.
Yeah.
Ooh. So this was before Arthur Smith got fired.
Okay.
Arthur Smith was efficient with his time, 30th. This is what you were wanting, Matthew.
That blows my mind. Okay, whatever.
All right, the worst rated team,
Yes.
the Washington Commanders.
Really? Over Vegas.
Over Vegas.
Okay.
32nd out of 32 teams.
All right, well, let's dive into this. Oh, see, that looks like me. That's my senior year.
Just F across the board.
I'm looking in.
1A.
Was it for strength? F minus treatment of families. Come on. In our
Many
nation's
players,
capital,
yes.
you can't find adequate daycare. I've been to DC once for a few days. It's a decent food city. Come on.
Well, you have the Ben's Chili Bowl.
I actually went to a really nice Italian restaurant. Fresh pasta. Oh, it was yum. Total fail. Yes.
Oh, I don't know which was worse, Cincinnati or Washington. Which one?
Oh, pretty clearly Washington.
Washington, where careers go to die.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see more Sam Howell. I thought he looked pretty decent last year, considering he only really has McLaurin to throw to. But then they just decided to like, nope, we don't want him anymore. We'll see what Jaden Daniels can do there. Uh, Going off a little bit of a tangent, I'm definitely a little more hyped on McLaurin in fantasy football this year with Jaden Daniels. Uh, but gosh, with grades like this, is Daniels going to be good?
All of the over half of the teams have at least an A or B when it comes to the nutritionist. That's a good sign.
Yeah. There's got to be some type of like NFL level mandates that they have to meet that just keeps them in that zone. Locker
Oh,
room F minus. Jeez.
citing multiple sewage leaks.
That's just their D line.
Well, I will say this: the overall stadium definitely has to be replaced.
Yes.
It's done because a few seasons ago, I'm sure everyone knows about it. These Eagle fans that were leaning on this temporary, rail that plunged to the ground, like 10 feet or something after a win.
Yeah.
Um, FedEx Field, was good at one time, but now they've removed pieces. It looks like it's been a Lego set.
Well, and hasn't that been rated as like the worst field when it comes to player injuries as well?
Yes.
So
The
yeah, it's got to go.
the only two other facilities I can think of in all of pro sports that might be worse than this is the Coliseum where the Athletics currently play because they have
Yeah.
the foul territory is wider than the state of Texas. Sewage leaks galore, upper deck tarped off, and then locker room, or not the locker room, but in the dugouts, there is a restroom. Who wants that?
They don't even have public bathrooms; just have porta potties in the concourse.
Pretty much. The only other facility that I would say probably would be a little bit worse is Mullet Arena, where now Utah Hockey Club used to play when they were the Arizona Coyotes. Yeah,
Oh,
where it was basically a college arena and there was no real locker room.
right. Something like a 4,000 capacity, tiny.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's maybe the size of a small venue here in Minnesota.
Yeah, a professional team, they either need to be sold. No professional team deserves the humiliation of playing in a 4,000 seat stadium. That's just
They were kicked out of
disheartening.
they were kicked out by the city council of Glendale, Arizona because they thought they could get more money from concerts. Well, good job. You just ruined hockey in Arizona.
Honestly, I'd be that sucks as a fan,
Yeah.
or to be a fan, I should say.
Oh, no wonder why Kirk left Washington.
So when we had Kirk, I would always hear, "Well, Washington didn't want him, that's why they got rid of him." And then
Yeah.
I find articles showing about how Washington offered Kirk Cousins the second highest guaranteed contract at that point in NFL history. But Kirk wanted to
Mhm.
play under the franchise tag again. And so they had an agreement to agree to disagree, and Kirk left. So, no, Washington did not want to get rid of Kirk. Kirk wanted a different deal. They did not see eye to eye.
Yeah. Uh, so just a general overview, it looks like the bottom teams have a C in the nutritionist and diet category. Arizona, I can see, was probably the worst at just a regular C rather than a C plus C minus. Yeah, very interesting.
How about the least favorite team about Vikings fans, the Saints? Tell me they did poorly, please.
Um, how is this so bad in this day and age? Some of these team facilities, they're extravagant. They put millions of dollars in, but yet they're stuck in the 90s.
Right.
Honestly, Carolina, they were building a new facility, a new team facility. The ownership, missed some payments, and it completely got demolished. And yet they just committed like billions of dollars for a small renovation of their stadium.
Well, now
Just
you have
incredible.
this influx of new stadiums popping up, so these players that play in Washington, that play in Chicago, go and see these new facilities, and they go back there. They're like, "Well, what the hell? We only have 5 toilets for a roster of 53 plus coaching." So, like, maybe they're not even that bad at facilities, but it's just compared to the ones like what Dallas has, what Minnesota has. Although they have a new stadium, but apparently theirs isn't great. So. just
Rotor
just
guy
go
just
on Yelp and find the cheapest one.
oh man. Yeah, but you probably got like chili stuck from back when Carson Palmer was quarterback. Bad plumbing, no hot water. It feels like this is the Major League movie all over again. Football form. New Orleans. Let's look. And this is actually a very good insight into all the other teams. Oh, 1A.
Ha 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 ha.
Otherwise, they're just. Ooh.
Oof. Now, come on. New Orleans should not have an F for food.
You're
Just
talking
feed
about the
them
land of
jambalaya.
jambalaya. Exactly.
Jambalaya and po' boys. Feed those families.
Crawfish bake. Ooh,
Okay.
yeah. So it looks like the nutritionist part is getting much better in the NFL. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this was, something Goodell mandated, but if it is, I mean, he's doing a good job.
Well,
Players are
and we
getting
do
better.
have the newer generations too are going into more like occupational therapy and nutritional style degrees.
Yes.
So maybe you just have a larger pool of people that know what the hell they're doing.
Training room, okay. Training staff. So
Okay, that's
they're
some decent
they're
grades. Yeah,
they're average.
like Derek Carr.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a trend in the NFL. No roommates before any games.
Gotcha. That's nice.
Um, the ownership, fairly decent.
All right, that's a decent grade. That sucks.
Yeah. So before we're gonna go into one of our final topics. Training camp in 2 weeks opens.
Let's
That time of
go.
year,
Can't wait.
we made it. So, who are you expecting to be one of the big standouts this year?
I am actually really excited to talk about this. I've been saying a lot about him. Jordan Addison going into year two, he's put on some weight. He said that I'm going to very loosely misquote him here, but he said last year he was just kind of robotic and didn't really understand the plays. He wasn't playing super fluid, super loose. He was not who he wanted to be. Now he's saying that he feels way more comfortable, and everyone's saying that he's just looked next level even compared to last year in his first rounds of OTAs. I mean, he had 920 yards, 10 touchdowns and had backups for half the quarterback, or not half the quarterback, sorry, half the season. So if he's taken another level, oof, let's go.
McLaughlin. I would love.
Yeah,
I want to see more of him. Um,
yeah.
I was widely expecting Kyrie Jackson to be a big camp standout.
Yeah.
His story was incredible from deli counter to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, and fans spoke highly of him. Like, yeah.
He was going to be a big weapon, and now we, unfortunately don't get to utilize him. But I've been talking to a lot of other fans around the league. They were excited to see him perform.
Yeah.
They were calling him a diamond in the rough. One thing I just have a lot of mouths to can Darnold deliver? That's a good one. What, Matthew? What do you think?
I mean, he had one start in San Francisco, and he had just south of 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Now, granted, you got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got McCaffrey, you got Kittle, but we got Jefferson, we got Addison. Maybe not to start, but we'll eventually have Hawkinson. We got Aaron Jones. So, I mean, Kyle Shanahan said that Sam Darnold, and he said this. I obviously don't believe it, but he has one of the best pure arms he's seen. Having an arm doesn't equate to talent. It doesn't equate to good decision making. I totally get that. But there was also a quote from Ian Rappaport after we got Sam Darnold that said, the hate around him is mostly fanfare. If you talk to actual coaches, actual GMs, and the stops he's made, he's a good team guy. He has talent. It's just a mental thing. So if KOC is the quarterback whisperer and we have these team trainers that can help you with your mental health, if he's not going to perform here, it's his last shot.
I think he can. He knows this is his last shot in the NFL. He knows that he's got one of the best receivers in the NFL that he's going to be throwing to. He's got a very good young receiver he's got to throw to. He knows he's got 2 studs in the backfield. And he knows that he's going to have a good O-line. So, I know he's going to take, he's going to be okay. If KOC is that, is a quarterback mentor, then I see us doing pretty well. There's also one thing kind of off topic that came from the Kyrie Jackson thing. Someone pointed this out on TikTok, and this gentleman or person has been, well, let's say this one fan, he is a Green Bay Packer fan, and I know Green Bay Packer fans, you would not, you would kick this guy out of your fan base in a second, but he was making fun of Kyrie Jackson's death.
Ugh.
And people were telling him, that's way too far. And yeah, Confucius say, don't speak ill of the dead, because nothing good comes from that.
Every group has that kind of 8th grade edgelord that thinks they're funny.
Yeah. Robert, coming up with some great takes today. Great. Yeah, he is going to be the biggest question mark on our offense this year.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how. Oops, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
I say it depends on how you want to look at it. You can either look at it as a win-win or a lose-lose. Whereas if he pans out well, hey, we have a decent quarterback for the year and it's great and we're going to be a decent team. And if he does poorly, it's like, hey, we kept our first-round pick and having to move up for McCarthy. So if we have a terrible 3-win season, then we just get a high first-round pick next year. So that could be a win-win. Or he's bad, but our defense is really good. And we win 6 or 7 games, and we're stuck being in the teens for a pick again, and we don't even get the benefit of that. So
this is the situation I think he's in. The Jets, you really can't say a lot about his time with the Jets because they were just trash.
Right.
The Jets have been not a good team ever since Chad Pennington.
Yeah.
That was, and that was with Mangini and Chad Pennington when the Jets were actually gangrene.
Same with the Panthers. I mean, Baker had a terrible season with the Panthers, and they moved on from him after a season, and now he's getting paid by Tampa Bay because he actually has talent to throw to. And look, he's back to being old prime Baker again.
Carolina, he really didn't do him any favors. Again, ownership.
Yeah.
San Francisco, the clock was ticking there because with Brock Purdy leading his team to the Super Bowl,
Right.
for a Mr. Irrelevant to do that, is unheard of.
Well, and how many people wanted us to trade for Trey Lance a couple years ago, and Sam Darnold beat out Trey Lance for the backup spot in San Francisco, but people are pissed that we got Sam Darnold. That just makes sense.
Trey Lance is now the backup in Dallas.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Well, just because he did good 1 year at North Dakota doesn't mean a hell of a beans.
Right. Carson Wentz. Looking at you.
Yeah, well, Carson Wentz was pretty much a flash in the pan. He was injured most of his career.
Yeah, I think he would have been good had he not torn his ACL for sure. That's a tough break. Same with Teddy. Sorry to hit that sore spot, yeah.
That was the one of the darkest days in the Vikings history.
Yeah, great kid.
That and the infamous trade. The Herschel Walker trade.
I'm so glad that was before I was conscious of the game of football.
Yes, thank you. 3 teams could make the playoffs from the North this year.
Totally agree. The basement could be 8 wins.
Exactly. I have a feeling that this year it is going to be a big cluster in the North.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but if you look at just the offensive skill positions, the NFC North vastly outweighs the rest of the NFL in terms of pure talent.
Yeah. It is coming that time. Final thoughts, Matthew?
Just like you just said, super pumped for training camp to get here in 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from a Hall of Fame game that I'm going to for sure watch 10 minutes of and then get bored. Football season's right around the corner, a month and a half.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing. I've been hearing rumors of the 18-game schedule, which will give 2 bye weeks, and someone's saying that they should move the Pro Bowl to the middle of the season.
Yeah, Burrow with his hot takes.
If that happens, then I think you've really revamped in just 2 moves.
Well, and again, the NFL is the only one of the 4 major sports that doesn't have a mid to close to end of the season all-star game. It's the only one that has it at the end of the season when players are beat down. They just want to be done with it.
But getting the NFLPA on board with those changes, that's going to take a lot.
Well, if they could figure out a way to advertise it and make money off of it, they will do it.
If they do, then I would love to have that, because then you really can have the Monday after off.
Right.
So
make it worth something.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week. Rob won't be back until for at least 1 month. He is doing military work. I will just say that as kind of hush hush. But we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Yep.